Doing today? Hope you all doing great. So it's about how to trust the universe. I've been getting a lot of questions about this. Mark, how can I trust what I can't see? Like, how can I trust something to create? You know, what's the principle behind it? You know what I mean? It's very essential to trust the creative process, because everything to create in our lives, it has to come from like an invisible source to become a visible. So you guys, all right, look, okay. The bottom line is, when it comes to creating what you want, it's not going to make sense. You're not going to see a path. You're not even going to know how. You're not even going to know when. Repeat that. Think about it. When it comes to manifesting what you want, there are a lot of times you're not going to know when or how, or even, come on, you guys, everybody's experienced this before. You wanted to create something, and the way you wanted it, it didn't come that way, but it came something totally different, man. Right? That's to show you how the universe. So yeah, how to trust the universe, right? So as I was saying, so remember now, a lot of things are going to come into our lives, and we don't know quite how. And listen, and that's okay, guys. It's okay to do that. So how to trust the universe is basically this. It's getting into a mindset of what you want or what you desire. Just to make sense of this, it's basically get into a state that you can see your dreams already fulfilled. That's how you trust the universe. You trust the universe by seeing an end goal of you getting what you want. So what happens when you do that? When you do that, you're talking to the universe. You're telling the universe, I put my utmost trust and faith that this goal that I've seen is going to come into my reality to be manifested. Whether it be something, if you want to get your health better, if you want to get your life better, you got to do that. But you know, the interesting thing is, now listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it's so simple to do. Because look, if it was, everybody be doing it, everybody be manifesting. But it is, because here's the secret to make it simple. The thing called your mind, that ego mind, what it does is, whenever you try to look at the best thing in your life, what happens? That guy comes in and try to show you the worst thing in life. Then you start to go into this cycle. Like, you try to be positive, you try to look positive, then the mind comes in and say, well, what if this happened? Notice how your mind always just like goes for the worst, but it never looks at the best, right? And that's something that's fascinating to me, man. And I've been thinking about that for a while, and I came up with the answer to that. I'm like, okay, man, why does my mind, like, the good stuff I want, I can see it, but then it just pops in, and it all shows me the contrast of what I don't want and what could happen. Like, if you've been in a situation, you're sick or something, it always shows you the worst. Anything happening in your life, it will show you the worst. And then what happens with that, that's going to create anxiety from your body. The anxiety is going to lead to more worry and doubt. So the mind has this cycle, right? So I was thinking to myself, man, how can you break that stuff, man? What's the secret? Because that's about trusting the universe. And I just said, you know what if I just started to overrule the mind? Like, when the mind would show me the negative stuff, why don't I just tell the mind I only want to see the positive stuff? And that was very simple. And that stuff worked, man. So I kept practicing every time I would visualize or what I want, or whatever you go through in your life. Because part of this, guys, remember this, okay? If you're here, you're going to have obstacles in your way. They're just going to be things that are going to be happening in your life. They just happen. And it's up to you to decide, you know, you have to push on through, you have to find a way to it. That's just how it is. And, you know, none of us here is perfect, and all of us have things going on in our lives, right? You all have stuff going on. And that's why sometimes it's difficult to focus, because you're distracted by so much stuff, like work, things, health, all type of stuff going on in your life. But the thing is, you have to attempt to maintain this positive outlook. I know it's even, I know when you're going through it, you're like, man, how it's hard to be positive. People say, man, I have chronic pain, I have this, that, this happened in my life. I get it. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm telling you that once you start to do it, you will see the results. because you're shifting the mind state, and that's what it's all about with trusting the universe. Is getting into a mind state that's going to bring this to your life. You know, guys, look, the thing about the mind is, man, it can drive you to be positive and happy, but it can drive you into like depression, and even some people have, suicidal thoughts, all that stuff. Look, it's okay if that happens. No one's perfect. You're going to go through stuff, but you got to remember that the big picture is you can overcome it. If you're focused, if you keep going, things will work out for you. Things will manifest. Even if it doesn't look like it right now, you're going through it. This is important to have that positive aspect mindset, man. It's that's how you're gonna get it. You get how it works? It's in the process now is when you're on your way and you're creating it, but you're meeting a lot of distractions in your life. It's like all this stuff is happening. What you have to start to do now, this is where the faith and the expectation comes in. You know, a lot of time, and I'm telling you this, it's all right for you not to know how, when, or to figure. You can't listen. Don't put your mind into that stuff. Don't occupy the mind into that stuff. Try to occupy or attempt to occupy your mind into things that will lead you to what you want, your desires. Because guys, you gotta get this, man. If you let your mind start to run it, man, it'll take you into a turmoil, man. You don't want to be in turmoil with the mind, because it's programmed to just go crazy on you, man. It could just put you in a loop, man. I've seen it happen all the time. And the next thing, guys, here's how to trust the universe. Stop looking too far ahead. Enjoy what's happening right now. Don't look and worry about what's coming later or what's happening or what is this going to do. Don't do any of that, because you start to do that, you'll rob yourself of the present moment. You're taking away the joy of what's happening now. Because, you know, this is critical, because the mind will say, well, notice your mind always have a rebuttal for you. Oh, you got lucky. Oh, this happened. You won't have to get it again. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Don't entertain it, man. That's one thing I learned about this stuff, man, is that I'm going to share an important lesson with you that I learned, and maybe this will help you when it comes to trusting the universe, God, whatever. Okay? Here's what I learned. At times, my mind would always give me like a worst case scenario. Like, oh, it's always looking worse. Because by nature, I'm analytical, right? And it took a lot for a person analytical. It takes a lot for you to trust the universe, because your brain is just so analytical. It's like, well, how about that? That makes no sense. So what I noticed is, like, when my mind would project the things that were going to happen or coming up, whenever I got into that state of those things, it's not as bad as I thought it would. It didn't freak me out as my mind made it look. So my point is this: your mind is going to do two things. It's going to show you the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. And I got to tell you something. When they do happen, they will be normal. Look, I remember one specific instance, man. I told you this, when I won the lottery, right? And I went to check the ticket. In my mind, when I was visualizing, I was in this like super happy, like, oh, it's going to be awesome. Don't get me wrong, I was happy when it happened. But when I did it and I checked the tickets, and something dawned on me. I was like, you know what? I felt good. I'm happy. But the way my mind made it look like I was going to be, it's like I'm going to be circling the place, jumping, and balloons are going to fall. People are going to be... It wasn't even like that. It was just like a sense of like peace, release, and just, it was a good thing. It was happy. My point is, you cannot trust and listen to the mind when it comes to the negative aspects. It's going to show you like, oh, your life's going to be this way, it's going to turn out that way. Don't do that, because that's going to tear down your confidence. Okay? So to trust the universe, you have to get your mind focused on only what you want. Then the next process is, now you have to do some mental work. Well, Mark, what is the mental work I have to do? Well, you know, guys, to create your life, you're gonna have to do work and take action, man. And some action could be meditation, visualization, putting yourself in new experiences. Those are the action steps you got to do. And then the action also implies the repetition, repeating it over and over again. Those are things you have to do because you're telling the universe, I trust the process. Okay? That's basically how this stuff works. I mean, look, when it comes to the universe, you and I aren't entitled to know exactly how everything is going to come into our world. It's impossible for us to do that. Number one, our brains aren't equipped to fully understand the complexity of how the nature of the universe works, from the supermolecular to whatever. We just have a basic understanding. And the truth is, maybe our brains can never be able to grasp that. Maybe our brains are still evolving. Maybe it'll be millions of years before we can even do that. But that's okay for right now. All you have to know is that it works. Right? Well, I'll give an example. Look, if you get a cold in your body, right? Do you ever question like how exactly your body works to fix itself? No, you just know that get a cold. I may get better sooner, or it may take a little longer, but eventually I'll get better, right? So you don't know like the detailed process. Even if you go to the doctor, there's some doctors that tell you, well, we'll just do this. Let's wait till it clears up. They can't tell you. They just say, well, the body got to do its thing. So everything is coded in this thing that we can't truly understand, but the process works, right? Oh, eventually you'll get better, right? It's the same thing with when you're creating what you want. It's okay for you not to try to know the exact way, but you just have to know that what you want is coming towards you and you're going to get it. See what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. Faith, patience, repetition are the keys.